Happy Kreg Monday. Is that a thing? Are we making it a thing?
It is today. It is today, for sure.
We have got a very unique opportunity here because Kreg rolled out a bunch of new tools in the last month, right? October 1st-ish. And I'm very, very lucky that Lance from Kreg, he's the man, is here in my shop today. And he is going to talk about the new tools and answer questions you have about the new tools. Time permitting, we can talk about other Kreg stuff as well. We'll just see how it goes. But what we do want to do is thematically, we want to concentrate on the new stuff. So first, Lance, give us, who are you and why are you here? What's your, give us your background as it relates to Kreg and stuff, and we'll go from there.
Well, I started with Kreg about, it's going to be 10 years on the 23rd of November, as a matter of fact.
Wow,
so my
we're
10-year
anniversary
is coming up very shortly. So, surprisingly, I was not a woodworker when I started working for Kreg. They said, "You're the right guy. We will teach you how to be a woodworker." And so that was kind of a refreshing angle for employment. And anyway, they sent me back in the wood shop, and I spent the first 3 weeks of my career working in the wood shop. And from that point on, it's just been learning. As some tools would come out, I would learn how to use the new tools and do all those things. But my primary job is I'm the Central Regional Sales Manager for Kreg Tool Company. But that in itself is a lot of fun because I get to go around and demo a lot of tools. I get to go to trade shows and do demos at trade shows, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do.
So your day job consists of, you're going to call on retail stores, you're going to go to woodworking shows, you're going to any place you can be face-to-face with people.
Correct.
To teach them about Kreg stuff.
So anything from our product line, all the way up to what's now our power tool line.
All right. Well, great segue. So give us the 100,000 foot view. I mean, Kreg is such a ubiquitous name in the pocket hole industry. And then suddenly there's all this cool cordless stuff.
Right.
So give us the lowdown on Kreg went in a completely different direction with their tooling with this.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. If you look at the products that Kreg has made traditionally, our core product line, that entire product line, you have to have a power tool to use it. So that part of it makes sense, but it was never really a reason for us to get into power tools because that's a big jump. We started getting a little bit more serious about that when we released our original adaptive cutting system saw. Our ACS saw, plunge
track saw.
Right. And since we launched that in 2019, I believe it was, we have just had nothing but requests for a cordless version of that. Well, it's really difficult to launch.
And like 300,000 of those were from me.
Yeah.
Just so I kept opening a new email account, send another request.
Yeah.
New email account, send another. I love the saw, but I really wanted a cordless. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really difficult to launch an entire platform around one tool. So, because we do have our own battery platform. We can talk about the battery platform later, but we did go with our own platform after we did a lot of intensive investigation and research on battery share and things like that. And it really was much better for us to go with our own platform. But
your own platform meaning this is a Kreg battery. That's proprietary to you.
That is correct. There's a lot of things that batteries do. The software inside the battery talks to the tool. When it needs extra torque, it can pull from the battery, vice versa. You lose a lot of that flexibility when you're using a battery share program. Battery shares are great if you just have a tool that does something, for instance, spray paint, where you don't have a lot of needs.
Not a lot of demand on the tool.
Right.
And it's just on and off.
Yep. That makes sense. But for us, every one of these tools talks to the battery and the battery talks to the tool. So there's certain things that we needed to be able to do that we couldn't do otherwise. So that's why we went with our own platform.
So let's do, for the, 3 people that live under a rock and haven't seen the new Kreg stuff yet, I'm going to switch cameras to that one. And then maybe just tool by tool, kind of 100,000 foot view.
Sure.
Does this make sense to you to kind of just hit on each one a little bit and what's cool about it? And then we'll do, just so you know, we're going to Well, you know what I made before we switch cameras, I'm going to look for cameras. I'm going to look for questions while we're still on this camera. We're also going to grab tools individually. I love the new pocket hole cutter, and we for sure want to show you that in operation. So we're going to get hands-on here as well in a little bit. But let me just double check and make sure. I want to make sure we're not missing any questions here before we go to the other camera. All right, we're clear on questions. So they're now looking at that bench.
Okay.
So give us the skinny.
All right. So this was the one that started it all. This, of course, being the plunge saw, what we call the ACS saw. And so that was number one. This is the one that drove us into the battery platform, which is the Kreg Rebel, which is our powered pocket hole machine. First of its kind. It's the only pocket jig in existence that doesn't require a clamp. And it's,
oh, what a great point. Yeah.
It's very speedy, very efficient. It really, there's a lot of great features on that, which we'll delve into a little bit deeper. We really kind of focused on our first part of the launch as being woodworker focused. So we wanted to basically put out tools that were involved in the woodworking process. And another thing that we wanted to do is really put Kreg's touch on everything. So none of these tools are what they call white label tools, if you will. Meaning
you didn't just take somebody else's thing and paint it blue.
No.
Yeah.
There was a lot of research, testing, development. We had tools from every brand you can imagine sitting in all over the Kreg home office.
In various pieces, probably.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so we went through every single tool. We looked at what we liked. We looked at what we didn't like. We looked at what maybe we didn't see this on any of the other tools. So, we kind of really put that into play when we started researching all of these tools. And every one of these has been engineered by Kreg from the ground up to meet those.
Do its own thing.
That's correct.
All right, so let's go back to this. We got as far as the oscillating tool.
Right.
So walk them through what else is available now. So again, everything is cordless.
That's
everything
correct.
is cordless and on the same
platform.
Okay.
Yes. And any future tools. We'll talk a little bit about what's happening in 2026 and beyond. But I can't give out any details yet. But I can tell you this is not the end of Kreg's foray into tools. We know that the line needs to be more important. So that going forward is something that is about as much as I can say at this point in time. But we do have our barrel grip jigsaw here. We have our 7 1/4 inch circular saw. A very interesting note on the 7 1/4 inch circular saw is that it actually works in conjunction with our AccuCut track, without having to use the sled that comes with the AccuCut, if you're familiar with the AccuCut. Our 4 1/4 circ saw. This particular saw is one of the, if not the fastest, it is the fastest growing circ saw of all of the circ saw sizes, shapes, models. The compact circ saw is very, very popular right now.
It's stupidly handy. Like it's one of these things that until you have it around, you don't know how handy it is, and then you end up reaching for it.
Oh yeah. Trim router. We had a lot of demands that we put into the manufacturer on the trim router because this is a tool that woodworkers just reach for all the time. Most important thing, spins at 30,000 RPMs, which is about as strong as you can get. And when you're using small bits, that's important. We have a driver. Typically, you wouldn't think of a driver as being something that would be a woodworking tool, just because they're designed for brute force. But we did some manipulation, did a lot of redesign on it to make it not only maintain its brute force capabilities, but add in some finesse and precision for woodworking. And then our random orbit sander, just very well balanced tool here. And then the drill itself, just to kind of throw down probably the biggest feature on that is that it spins at 2,000 RPMs, which is about the fastest in the industry for a compact circular saw or compact drill.
And one of the things I'll say just to woodworkers in general, in my shop, my 3,200 square foot shop, there are outlets everywhere. What I have found in the last few years of my woodworking is that once I started to introduce cordless stuff to my shop, I find myself reaching for the cordless stuff all the time because of the convenience of using it in the shop without chasing an extension cord. And then anytime I leave the shop, which happens a lot, whether it's my teaching or projects in the house or whatever it is, the convenience of going cordless is so huge. And with multiple tools, one platform, that's why I kind of pounded on that when we were over there before. That knowing that you don't have to get 16 different batteries for 16 different tools is a very cool feature.
We're extremely proud and excited about what this phase of Kreg's future, how it's taking place. It's been incredibly good.
And one of the things that Lance alluded to, but he'll have to kill me if he says any more, is there's more to come.
Correct.
Over the next 2 years. So it's another thing regarding the battery platform. I think it makes people more comfortable, is my guess, that knowing if I start investing in this today, it's already not a one-trick pony. It's even less one-trickier, if that's the phrase. But next year and the following year, because the promise is more and more and more and more stuff that's going to come this way.
That's absolutely correct. Like I say, I can't go into the details of what we're going to be releasing in 2026, 2027, and beyond. 2027 is not the end, but I think that woodworkers and just power tool people in general are just going to be very impressed with where we take this. So,
well, I know you when we were talking ahead of time, Lance said, like, all the tools sound cool, and then you squoze the trigger on the drill a couple times, and I know you like on the drill. So it's a beefy sounding tool. Hold that up by your lav mic and give them that sound.
So but
wait, there's more.
The beauty of this is, as I kind of mentioned earlier, 2,000 RPMs is what Kreg recommends for cutting pocket holes. That is the minimum speed for the best results.
To get a clean cut.
Correct. And so that is something that you just don't find in a compact drill. So we had to do some engineering work with the manufacturer to get this tool to perform like we wanted it to. What happens is when you end up putting your emphasis on speed, well, then you can start to affect torque as well. So it's easy to put a drill out, but it's really hard to get one just right. I think that we hit the ball out of the park, our product development, product engineers, because we do get the 2,000 RPMs, but we actually had to re-engineer the motor to the special winding so that we could get that speed, but maintain torque without.
You can still drill. You could put a 1-inch paddle bit in there and still punch a hole.
That's correct. So it really does a lot of things really, really well.
And it is 2-speed, so you don't have to. You can shift gears, so you don't have to run at 2,000 all the time if you're doing something a large diameter, but you want to slow down.
Your major torque is going to be in the lower speed. And then when you get up to the number 2, that's your high speed. That's going to be great for drilling pocket holes. You can do Forstner bits and paddle bits and things of that nature. But the other thing we did was we really wanted the trigger to be ultra sensitive so that you have a lot of control over how that, because when you're driving a screw into a soft wood, like a pocket hole, you do not want to overdrive that screw. You can strip it out really easily. So that was one of the things that they really focused on, was just making it a very precise tool, even though it's got a lot of speed, a lot of torque, making it so that it's manageable when you're working with woodworking projects was really paramount to the tool actually.
And the
design
and little stuff like it's got a light on it. And I remember when I first saw a light on a drill, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. Until I did something under a vanity, and then the light paid for itself 400 times over. So that's a valuable addition to it. The belt hanger is the same thing. Like, until you're on a scaffold, screwing a gutter onto a house, you don't realize how valuable this is to keep the tool handy. And then with the batteries, there's a fuel gauge on here.
Correct.
So we can tell before you put the battery on the tool, is it ready to go or not? Do I need a different one off the charger? So I like that too, that it's, where you're at before you commit and climb up on the scaffold.
and all metal gears, all metal chuck. It's just a premium drill. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And in general, we wanted to build a tool for each task. And so we don't have 5 drills, we have 1 drill. And that's really where we're going to focus. We don't want to have a good, better, best mentality. We want to build the best tool that we can. And so that's what we have with every single tool that we manufacture.
What do you want to talk about next?
Well, let's just stick with these drill driver type things. Again, a lot of the features that George just talked about with the belt clip and things like that on driver, because typically you wouldn't really think about having an impact driver be a woodworking tool, but
then they haven't spent much time in my shop, I guess. I use it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times just because of the power, it's really simple. If you've got an impact, let's just say that it doesn't have multiple speeds like ours. Ours does have 3 speeds plus an assist mode, which we'll talk about. But if you have it on torque, some drivers don't even have a variable speed trigger. It's just on off. And when you're driving a screw in, it's really easy to overdrive those screws. So in our number 1 setting, we just made it very, very slow and manageable. So if you're feathering those screws into a soft piece of wood, you can do the same thing just like you could with the drill. When you get up here to speed number 3, now you've got a lot of torque, you've got a lot of speed. We actually have 2,200 inch-pounds of torque on this particular driver, which is very close to best in class. So it's got all the power. We just put the finesse in with it.
So I'm pretty sure I'm going to know the answer to this, but Carl asks, are other batteries compatible with the Kreg tools like a DeWalt or a Makita?
No. It is a proprietary battery platform, so it will only work with Kreg batteries.
Well, and it goes back to, and maybe Carl didn't hear the first part, when Lance was talking about the tools are going to talk back and forth with the batteries, that this has to do what this specific tool is asking it to do, which other brands might not be able to do. So to get
Correct.
the optimal performance,
Yeah,
you got to dance with the one who brung you.
correct. And that was a very timely question because and timely response, because we have a 4th mode on this impact, and it is called assist mode or auto mode. And it actually serves 2 functions, one when you're drilling and then one when you're actually retracting the screw. In the drilling motion, what it does is it will drive down at a pretty high rate of speed, but right when it hits the point where it impacts, it stops. Even if you still have the trigger pulled, it stops. So it keeps you from overdriving the screw. If you want to tighten it down further, just pull the trigger a couple more times and it'll give you about 2 more revolutions.
Like tweak it in.
Right. But on the reverse mode in assist, it actually...
So that's the version of standing there with a pipe and going chunk, chunk, chunk to get that bolt started or whatever it is.
It serves a lot of purposes. That's one of them. But if you don't have let's just say you're trying to remove a Phillips screw, and you don't have that seated properly, if you just pull the trigger, it's probably going to round out your Phillips screw head. So doing this actually allows it to seat itself.
Because too much torque early is what'll strip it or break it.
Exactly. So you'll only find that feature on some very, very expensive impacts. And I think at last check, this is a $119 impact. Again, all metal gears. It's a beast, but it's also kind of got a beauty side to it as well, where you can really finesse things in there. So it's a great addition.
So Gary says the Kreg website lists the weight of the trim router kit with the 2 milliamp battery as 0.8 pounds, and the weight of that same battery by itself is 0.8. Oh, well, then he follows up. Hang on. I was mistaken. The weight in the combo kit is only the battery. What is the weight of the trim router? And if you don't know, I know right where my scale is. I'll run and get it.
I don't know what the actual weight.
We can fix that.
I do know that it is. It's firm. It's not the lightest trim router that you're going to find, but it is very comfortable and very maneuverable. It is. You got to have metal, and at least we wanted metal, so we've got all metal clasp, all metal base. Everything is metal on this particular.
Give me your guess, and I'm going to make my guess.
I would say 3.5 pounds.
3.5. I'm going to say That might have been my number. I'm going to say 4 just to be different. Look at you, 3.1.
3.01.
Nice. So there's the answer. Call it 3 pounds ish without the battery.
Yeah. So,
all right, we're caught up on questions.
Yeah, since we were just now talking about the router, why don't we look at that one next? So, trim router, of course, trim routing is near and dear to most of us out there that are doing woodworking, and speed is king, especially when you're working with small bits like you're going to be with a 1/4-inch shank. There also is a 6mm template or 6mm collet included, and a template guide that come with this as well. But there's some things that we just absolutely
and we should, because the 6mm is a cool thing, and if you're not aware of that in woodworking, you should be. Not every router does it, but it is a benefit with being able to use the 6mm bits. They're slightly larger than a 1/4, so that you have a little bit more shank strength in a 6mm than you do in a 1/4. So having that option to run the bit is a bonus. That's why it's a bonus.
And another thing is we actually made this hole a little bit bigger, because most of your bit sets come with a 1 3/8" bit, and most of those won't that bit won't fit in most trim routers. So there's a plan for a trim router base that will come with this. It will actually have the standard size Porter cable type template stuff that will work with that, but that's for another time. But one of the things that's just
and you were talking about the speed, and then I cut you off. So that's a big deal. What's the max RPM on that?
Max RPM on this is 30,000, which again is pretty much at the top level of the different trim routers that are out there, cordless trim routers. And just give you a little bit of an idea, that's maximum speed right there. And it is variable speed down to 10,000. One of the other features is we do have a locking feature on this, so that you can't accidentally start it. You actually have to push the lock button, and then it will unlock and you can turn the motor on. But areas of focus for us on this particular tool was making it balanced and make it feel comfortable in the hand, while giving you all that power with all the RPMs. So that was very important to us. And then one thing we just absolutely would not budge on is making sure that we had a way to lock that in place, that base in place, without it slipping. And so we've got all metal components in there as well.
And a micro adjust built in.
Yes.
So that you can finesse the height of the bit. That's what the knob on there is all about.
That's correct. We did put this on here on the back side, because we're going to have other products that are going to come out for the trim router that will utilize this. So you kind of look for some products in the future that will round out our offering on the trim routers. So, but where should we go next?
Well, I know you want to show, I know you want to be a rebel. Well, why don't we just run the multi-tool, the oscillating tool.
Okay, sure.
So they can hear it, and then whatever you've got for stuff there, and then go to the rebel from there.
Yeah. So that's our multi-tool. Real quick overview on this. We did 3 major things. One, we took a ton of vibration out of the tool by balancing the motor and how we have the power drive in there situated. So you get considerably less vibration with this tool than you do with some other brands, because we all have them, we all use them, and very few of us really enjoy using them because they will wear you out. So that was one. The second thing we did is we took the spindle here and we moved it down a little bit. We reversed the way the battery goes in, so you can actually
go here now.
I'll go right over here.
Hang on. There we go.
You can see I can actually go flush with my blade
without the battery getting in the way.
Without the battery getting in the way. So if I have to flush cut something, now I can get down there and get that nice and flush without worrying about digging into my wood piece if I'm trimming off a plug or trimming off a dowel or anything along those lines. I've got the ability to flush cut. And then the last thing we did is we moved that spindle further out to the front of the tool, because we know that a lot of flooring people use these for trim work.
Yeah, undercutting.
Yep. And a lot of times you get into that corner, you deadhead up in that corner and you can't complete the cut.
Yeah.
And this actually gives you more blade space to get in there and complete those cuts.
And it's tool-free
Yep.
changes.
Tool-free changes. It will accept standard generic blades or the Starlock, the old version Starlock blades. So
Hugh is asking, what is the battery capacity?
2 amp hour, 4 amp hour.
And it's so Lance has been, let's do this, primarily handling the larger of the two, but the smaller of the two, but that's 2 and 4 amp hours.
Right. And that won't be the end of our battery offering. There's plans for some additional larger amp hour batteries.
Okay.
So should we hop onto the Rebel and
Oh,
another question.
Yeah. P. Hamilton, what is the runtime on the battery? Seems to be a lot smaller than other brands.
We're very competitive. And that's about all I can say because it depends on the tool. There's a lot of variables at play in there, how fast you're running the tool, all those things come into play. But we tested our batteries against pretty much every other battery that's out there.
Well, and I feel like, so the tools have been here for a while now, before the October 1st release.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using the track saw heavily, the trim router heavily, track saw, circ saw, trim router, jigsaw. And I don't feel like I'm not like making a cut or two and swapping the battery.
Right.
It's so just from an intuitive, like an anecdotal experience perspective, it never would have occurred to me to ask that question because I don't feel like I've been up against, oh my gosh, is this a short runtime? So I don't know the hard number, but it's been, from running them, it's been good for me.
Yeah.
So,
I can tell you that there's a lot of intensive research that was done on the batteries and how they interacted with the tools. Because when you adjust things like speed and torque, all of those things come into play on how it affects your battery life. And so we optimized every tool to get the most out of every battery, out of every charge that you can get.
Yeah.
And so all I can say is that when we test against a lot of other major brands, we're seeing similar performance out of our batteries that we see out of those other brands. So we're right in there.
Grab your Rebel with a cause.
All right, Rebel with a cause.
So, end of the day, this is like the weirdest pocket hole cutter. It's like a pocket hole cutter that looks like a biscuit cutter.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, we've had people walk up and try to use it like this.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so it's kind of funny, but this is nothing short of an engineering marvel. The things that they had to do, because this tool, when I started at Kreg, there was talk of this tool 10 years ago. They wanted a corded or cordless portable pocket hole all-in-one machine. And about 5 years ago is when it started to get really serious because they started coming up with some solutions to a lot of the problems that we were experiencing with some of the messing around ideas that they were throwing out there. And there were certain benchmarks that had to be overcome. How can we have a pocket hole jig that doesn't require a clamp? All of them require a clamp. And so there was a lot of brilliant minds that worked on this, engineers, a product development team, and they literally addressed every single issue that they could possibly think of as woodworkers and obviously pocket hole experts. So
while we're on the big A camera here, overview, it's adjustable for various thicknesses.
That's correct.
You're gonna see there's a setup where if you're doing multiple holes in a big sheet of plywood, that's one approach, one thing it does really well.
Yes.
If you are using it for narrow face frame stock, it's a different approach. You'll see a slightly different setting there.
Yeah.
What else am I missing on the alignment? Can come from, there's a center line on it similar to what a biscuit joiner would have that'll show you where the center of the pocket hole is going to be when you're done. And
then there's even a little black mark here that actually shows you the actual width of the pocket hole.
Yeah, the edges. Yeah.
So if you get out towards the edge of your piece and you want to put a pocket hole out there, you won't accidentally over drill and go off the side of your piece.
There's a built-in dust holder gizmo that can also come off, and you can hook up dust collection if you want to have a vacuum hooked up to it.
Zero clearance on the bottom. Our Grip Max material is all over the bottom. That also helps assist in keeping it in place when you're drilling pocket holes. But there's a few other things at play when you're using the tool that ensure that you're going to be able to keep that tool in place. After about 3 or 4 pocket holes with it, you feel pretty comfortable using it. There's a little slight learning curve, but it's not too difficult at all.
All right. You want to make chips?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want the plywood clamped, or are you okay with that just sitting there?
I can do it just sitting there.
All right. Probably
So-
want a battery, huh?
Battery would be good. I got one right here. So we mentioned a couple of things on the setup of this, and we'll kind of
I'm
go
going to bring it back just a little. Whoops, sorry. Bring it
forward.
forward just a little. There we go. The other.
So with the setup here, I'll turn this around so you can see this a little better. There's these gray tabs that you push down, and then you can move this fence forward or backwards. If you're familiar with a traditional pocket hole jig, this kind of acts a little bit like the drill guide. So you can move that from a 1/2 inch setting all the way back to 1.5 inches. And we have 1 inch and 3/4 in between there. And that same setting happens up here. And this represents, got to move this down a little bit. Move it around. There we go.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Everything's backward from where you think it is for those of you at home. You can move this forward or backward for the same settings, 1/2 inch through 1.5 inches. But then we also incorporated a micro adjust. And if you look really closely, you can kind of see how that black piece right here is moving in and out. What that does is it really gives you infinite control in between each one of those settings to set that pocket
dial it
hole
in.
depth right where you need it to be. A lot of people are milling their own wood or working with 1 inch, which isn't one of the selections here, or 5/8, whatever it might be. So you really give you a lot of flexibility to be able to operate this. Here we go. That look about right?
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
So
Hey, I'm going to zoom the camera out a little bit just so they can see a bigger
Sure.
view of what you're doing. More better?
yeah, that looks good. So we talked about, how to keep the tool in place. This little handle here rocks back, and it serves no other purpose. There's no trigger wiring or anything like that in there. It's just to tell you that you have enough pressure on the jig itself to hold it in place. And then we have kind of a double safety on the handle here where you got to push in a button and pull the trigger. Once you're ready to go, it's fast. And that's all there is to it. And you have a pocket hole. And you can outfit a carcass with pocket holes, cabinet carcass, in pretty much no time. It's nice because you can move it from place to place. You can take it to wherever your workspace is, or if you're a fabricator and you're building cabinets on the job site. Great for that. Let's talk about narrow rails. That's kind of this is where our product development team really had to put on their thinking caps, because this comes with our narrow rail guide. And the way the narrow rail guide works is you'll put your piece in here and you can measure the width of that piece.
So that's sizing the span on that featherboard.
Right. And once you have that set, he has this side screwed down, and then you can slide back and forth, and we clamp that in place. Now that provides the perfect amount of tension on the featherboard to hold that in place while you're doing your rails and stiles. But it goes a little bit further, and this is a great angle to see this, because this is a little bit wobbly. Even if I was doing skirting, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so what Kreg has done, the engineers and the product development team, is we incorporated self-leveling feet that pop right down, and they'll automatically level anywhere between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches. And they'll lock in. Now I've got stability with my pocket hole jig, and once I get it lined up where I want it to be, I do both my holes, and I just flip that over and pop it right back in, and I can do my other side. It'll make short work of rails and stiles.
So one question which you answered there, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Sure.
Jim says, does it do one hole or two?
It does one. It does do one hole at a time. That would require 2 motors, obviously. So yeah, it's a single spindle pocket hole machine.
And Tim Bear 72 says, how long will it take to fully charge a dead battery in both cases, the 2 and the 4?
So I want to say it's about half an hour on a 2 amp hour battery. Standard charger, fast charger, it's a little faster than that. 45 minutes on a 4 amp hour battery. And with the standard charger, it's a little bit longer than that. So the fast charger basically cuts the time in about half.
Well, so let's talk about that for a second. If I want a fast charger, like, so I'm going to buy tool number 1.
Right.
When do I get a 2 amp and when do I get a 4 amp battery?
I think some of that kind of depends on the tool that you buy. In some situations,
or are they all bare tools and I'm going to buy the batteries? Or
the only 2 products that we actually have kitted with a charger and a battery are the Rebel and the ACS track saw, plunge saw.
Yep.
Those are kitted. All the other tools are bare tool at the moment. That's how we chose to launch these. And so you really have an option on how you want to do that. We're really working for some promotions and things of that nature to get tools or get batteries out there. So you'll see some opportunities there from various retailers. Yeah.
And it makes sense. I want to run the 4 on the bigger demand tools.
Right.
Can I also run the 4 on the smaller, on the sander?
Oh, sure.
And the multi-tool.
If you have a big sanding project, you certainly can. And when we talk about the sander, we'll talk about how well balanced the sander is to actually be able to accept a 4 amp hour battery without falling over backwards.
All right.
So there's some pretty incredible re-engineering they did with this as well.
Well, you want to talk about that sander now?
Well, let's do that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We're caught up on questions.
All right. So we've got,
what do you need?
2 amp hour. Let's grab one of those. So this will be a really quick demonstration, but even with a battery on there, you don't see that tilting back, which is very, very good. I have a particular brand. We don't generally discuss brands, but other brands. But as soon as you put a battery on it, it was falling backwards. So that means it's really difficult to keep it engaged with your surface.
It'd be nice if your sander stays flat.
Exactly.
It's a thing.
So we did that. We reduced vibration in this as well. We've got a soft start, soft stop. That's full speed. 3 speeds. And I know somebody's probably going to ask this question. So the orbit pattern is 330 seconds. Okay. So we're going to get that question answered right away. But a couple of the things that we really focused on with this particular tool was how are we going to use it? And a lot of times you're extending your arm out over your piece and holding it up here isn't really as comfortable. So we created a second place where you can actually hold that and extend your arm out. Give you multiple places where you can hold it, 2 hands if you want. And again, with that balance that they kind of put into the tool with the battery on it, that was important. But then one other thing we did is we actually put an internal seal on the dust pad itself in the tool. What that does is when you start it up, if you notice, I don't know if you can see this at home, but normally when you start up a palm sander, you get a poof of dust that flies out from around the dust pad, and you don't see that with our tool. And that does 2 things, eh?
So it's like a one-way gate. The dust can go up, but it can't fall back out while it's coming back up to power.
Right. That's correct. Now, if you shake some dust out of it and it falls down into the bag and into the tool, you will see that a little bit of dust coming out, but that's just because it kind of came back down and it's coming out through here. So, what that really does is pulls that dust right into the bag, and you'll be really surprised at how little dust is in the air when you're using this without dust extraction. You'll be able to pull a little bit off the surface of your workpiece, but that's about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dust is bad.
So let's move on to the next. So this is our barrel grip jigsaw.
Do you want a thick piece of something to cut, like we were talking about, to make it do that thing?
Yeah, we can do that. While you're grabbing a thick piece of stock, I'll just go overview on the tool itself. When we were designing this particular product, we struggled between a D-handle jigsaw and the barrel grip jigsaw. And we really liked the maneuverability of the barrel grip, but we liked the variable trigger on the D handle. So it's kind of like, how do we really get the best of both worlds? And so what we did is we moved the speed control up here to the top where your hand is actually at, and I can kind of show you where that's at right there. So you've got both hands on the tool. You're able to adjust the speed as you're going. So it's almost like having a variable speed trigger, but it gives you the convenience and speed of a barrel grip. So you got more maneuverability. And we did put 5 speeds, 6 speeds plus our assist mode. And what our assist mode does, and we'll just show that right now. It allows you, it starts the saw at a slower speed, but when it senses the load, are we ready?
I'm ready.
When it senses the load, then it knows it's into the wood, so it'll start slow so you can get into your cut without bouncing all over the place. And then when you get into the piece itself,
Right there.
Hear that ramp up? So what it did is it actually ramped up the speed to a fuller speed, a faster speed. So that is one of the really nice features on this barrel grip jigsaw,
which you can turn on or off.
Right.
If you just want to run at the high speed setting without the assist, you can do that.
Right. And being able to adjust the speed on the fly is really important as well. And I'm sorry, I'm talking while I'm running the tool, but a few other features that we did. A lot of the other barrel grips that were out there were about that long, and they had a barrel about that wide. We wanted it to fit the hand better, make sure that you had full access to your controls, like your on-off button. And so comfort, again, was a very important part of it, because if the tool's comfortable in your hand, you're just going to feel more confident using the tool.
And oscillating blade, it's got, I don't remember, 3 settings.
3 settings for oscillation. And then we also incorporate, there's a fan inside the saw itself, and we put a gate switch on. And so when you have it in the forward position here, it's actually blowing air out to move sawdust off your cut line so that you can see your cut line. If you're using the dust extraction that comes with this as well, you can hook up to a dust extractor, turn that switch to the back, and it just really gates that off and allows a dust collection to do its job. So.
Is that to you a jigsaw or a saber saw?
To me, it's a jigsaw.
So I'm showing my age. I grew up with that being called a saber saw.
I remember the term.
Yeah, I think that word went away probably when I was 15, maybe a long time ago. But all right.
You do have positive detents for 22.5 and 45 going both ways.
And tool-free blade, tool-free tilt.
Standard T-shank blades, and everything's tool-free on that particular tool as well. Let's hop onto the circ saws. So 7 1/4. We did a few things to this. First and foremost is we kind of rolled that handle back a little bit to give you a little bit clearer sight line to your cut line. If they're up here, you're leaning out over the top. So we kind of gave it more of a worm drive type handle. And we have our all metal base plate, up to 57 degrees of bevel. The dust collection surprisingly works better than I expected it to, both on the 4 1/2 and the 7 1/4 inch circ saw. It is automatically compatible, and I don't have battery in there because I wouldn't hate to turn this on, but our AccuCut track that you can buy for around $99 is compatible with this without having to use a sled.
To give you a straight edge, built-in straight edge that you can then run the saw on.
Yep. And they perform together very, very well. It's really kind of an inexpensive track saw, not quite as precise, or in some cases as safe, like our saw has anti-kickback. But for a person buying their first track saw, you can get into this for a very, very reasonable price, an AccuCut and our circ saw here. But very, very beefy. It's got a lot of power. And we've got a lot
and a brake.
Yes, soft start, mechanical brake, really, the saw is just absolutely loaded. Every saw will come with a high quality 40 tooth fine finish blade. So right out of the box, when you go to make your first cut with this saw, it's going to be very, very positive experience. It'll be very nice. Any new questions?
I'm chasing it down right now. My iPad is thinking. Well, Neil has been asking for something for Christmas. I don't know what. He said, been asking every Christmas for one. I don't know which of all of these that is, but it could be anything. I don't know. All right. So other than that, we're caught up on questions.
All right. So this is right now the fastest growing circ saw in the segment. The entire circ saw segment, people are buying these left and right, the little compact circ saws. The problem is in some cases they're a little underpowered, but the reason why people are gravitating towards these is they're just not intimidating.
There's a comfort level that's
as the big 7 1/4. We still have all the major features in there, so we still have soft start, mechanical brake. Those are all there, all metal base. We do have dust collection that comes with this one as well. That again works surprisingly well, but we did extend the handle on this because a lot of times you're using these to cut 3/4 inch plywood, and you're trying to extend all the way across that 4-foot section of plywood. And so we extended that handle so it's
which
a little
only works
easier.
if you're 6'3" or so.
Yeah.
I've learned. So that's a good feature.
Right. So yeah, and it comes with a 36 tooth fine finish blade as well. Whether you're doing 2x4 material or sheet goods, whatever it might be, this guy has surprisingly a lot of power. I was amazed, and I find myself reaching for this more often than I thought I would. I reach for it actually more often than I reach for my 7 1/4. So I'm a big fan of this.
It's a great one-hand saw.
Exactly. Yep.
Because not that we hold material with one hand and cut with the other, but sometimes we do.
Never do that. Never. That really kind of just leads us down to the final product. I think we've been through every tool with the exception of the plunge saw and our adaptive cutting system track saw. First and foremost, we're the only blade left track saw on the market. Everybody else is blade right. And what that does is it just gives you line of sight to your cut line. When you're using the tool, I've never used my own track. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. That's
Yeah, right. Let's do this. You stay where you are.
Okay.
So that they can see you. Let's come to this side. There we go.
Yeah. So what that basically means is I'm able to look right down at my cut line as I'm going along. And so that was kind of critical to us. But a few of the features that we have, of course, track snuggers here that allow you to get that fit right on the track so there's no play. There's an anti-kickback, which if you end up engaging in a knot hole, which hardly ever happens, right? But it won't kick back on you when you have that engaged. So I can go forward, can't go backwards. So nice safety feature there. We did do a 6.5 inch blade on our saw. It will bevel cut at 2.5 inch material at 45 degrees. -1 to 47 degrees on the bevel. Very simple tool change or blade change. All the tools store on the saw itself. Really nice 40 tooth fine kerf blade, which is kind of critical for battery life because a wider kerf will eat battery really fast. So we've got the right blade in there. And then kind of last but not least, I do have battery, is it has a spring-loaded riving knife. So it really is a true plunge saw. You can plunge with this saw all day long. But loaded with features, and with a piece of track, you can get into a track saw and a 62 inch piece of track for under $500. So value prop is really good on this particular product.
And be cordless.
And you're cordless now. After years and years and years of people asking, it's finally here. So
very cool. All right, let me look here. Dan asks, will the saw work on other brands of tracks since I've already invested in them, but I don't have a cordless saw yet?
Answer is no. We are proprietary with our track, and it's because of the blade left design. It's cutting on this side, and obviously it just won't. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
well, one of the things before we went live, Lance and I were looking at inbound questions, and one of them was about, it's the one about the router lift and the routers and the stuff and the thing. So what that question came down to, that was from Steven, was will a Ryobi or Triton router be compatible with the Kreg router table lift, unrelated to this cordless stuff? Well, in one, we know Triton makes nothing but plunge routers, so
right.
you can't put any plunge router in a lift. And then the Ryobi, we speculate. But the bottom line is, if you go on the Kreg website, you found the chart.
Yeah.
There's a chart that'll list all the routers the lift is compatible with.
Correct.
So the easiest way to get to the bullseye of that answer, kregjig.com, right?
KregTool.com.
KregTool.com.
Yes.
And you can find the router lift on there in that chart. We'll tell you all the machines it's compatible with.
Yeah.
David says, has Kreg considered issues of battery uniformity and or adapters to allow the use of other manufacturers' batteries? And we've talked about this with
right
playing nice together, but
no. The short answer is no. It is a proprietary
sort of
platform.
yes. Like you've considered it, Kreg considered it, but in the end, wanted the control of making your own battery, so you knew it worked optimally with this
with
set
each
of
tool.
tools.
Yeah. And as we engineer tools into the future, we'll be able to take advantage of those same things.
Like what tools?
I can't talk about that.
Oh my God. I thought I'd sneak one in there. And I don't know, like the question is interesting, and or adapters. I don't know any company that makes an adapter for their tool so X can take a Y battery. Maybe I've missed that in the industry, but I don't think it's a thing.
I've heard people talk about it. I've never actually
3D
seen
printing it or something.
Yeah, and honestly, I've heard people talk about that 3D printing these battery compatibility things where you can use a DeWalt battery in a Ryobi tool or vice versa. I've never seen it in action myself, but I wouldn't be surprised at what people are capable of doing anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can, as I always say about myself, tap dance a little bit. It's 5:25. We're going to wrap up at 5:30. We may or may not have answered the last question, but I don't know. This is your opportunity to talk about Kreg. What's next? Where it's going?
Sure.
Where can people find Kreg products?
You know, Kreg, we're very, very fortunate in that we've really been embraced in a lot of different channels. So you can find it at specialty woodworking stores, independent woodworking stores. You can find it in an Ace Hardware, True Value, any mom and pop type. And they're not in every one because that's always up to them as to what if they want to stock the tools. But we go to those trade shows with the intent of getting the tools out in the community so that anybody can get access to it. Yes, they are available in box stores. Power tools are not, but our core woodworking tools are available in the big box stores. So there's opportunity there. Internationally, they're available. There may be somebody sitting in from Europe right now, so we have Kreg Europe. There's definitely we've got the tools out there
available everywhere. Maybe I'll see one in Scotland when I get there on Saturday. That would be pretty cool.
Very well could.
All right. Well, we seem to have talked our way to where there are no new questions. And then, as always happens, 10 minutes after we're done, there'll be a question.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Lance is not from this area, which means he drove here just so that we could do this. So I really appreciate you taking the time and Kreg providing you so that we could answer all these questions and make this happen. And I don't know, anything else?
I don't think so. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you having me.
That's it, Jess. Take us out. All right. So